Today with you guys. It's been on my mind. I've been getting messages about, and rather than write, paragraphs to every single person that messages me about this, I thought, why not just do an Ask Ron video and get the opinions of you, the fans, the people that keep this sport alive, keep it going. Question is, are there too many pro shows? And the question comes up because open bodybuilding lineups this year have not been that great in terms of numbers. Orlando Pro, we only had 6 guys on that stage. 6. Everybody made the top 6. Haven't been seeing the big numbers. I mean, I can remember years ago when there were less shows, going to things like the predecessor to New York Pro was a New York Night of Champions in New York. And I remember years where there would be between 30 and 40. One year, I think there were almost 50 guys on stage. And that was this is before there were any other divisions. It was just bodybuilding. So I did a little quick tally on ifbbpro.com. Great resource. I looked at the schedule and I found 23 shows for the year 2023. So 23 open men's bodybuilding shows. And I excluded, there were 5 or 6 more that were just for masters. I think it was 5 others. So I didn't count those because we're just talking about open men's bodybuilding because this is the most popular division. It's the one people anticipate the most highly leading up to the weekends. It's who they talk about, the competitors going into the open men. We got Chicago Pro coming up in a couple days here. People are talking about Jonathan De La Rosa, Blessing Awodibu, Justin Shire, Patrick Moore. Stanimal just jumped in. So this is still the division that draws the most attention. It's the most prestigious, best prize money. And we're not seeing the numbers, and it doesn't make sense because we have more pros now than ever before. It's still much more difficult to turn pro as a bodybuilder than it is in any other division. More pro cards are given out for every other division. Bodybuilding still gives out the least amount of pro cards a year. I'm not sure if you guys realize that. A lot of these shows, a lot of these divisions, even at the junior shows, like Junior USA and Junior Nationals, which are not pro qualifiers for bodybuilding, top 2 in every other division. Every division, I think sometimes in a lot of those cases, every height class or weight class in every division turns pro. So they'll crank out between 50 and 70 pros in a week in a contest. But it has to be that there are just too many shows to choose from. And it's kind of puzzling because now that the point system is gone, I also have to wonder if that's playing a role in deterring a lot of guys from competing. I wonder if there were a lot of guys who would have competed because they felt, I'm probably good enough to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and pick up some points. And if I do enough shows and pick up enough points, I can get to Olympia. Because the Mr. Olympia is still the main goal. That's the end game for most open bodybuilders. They want to get on that Mr. Olympia stage every year. So I'm wondering if now that they know they have to win a show, how many of them think to themselves, I'm not capable of winning a show. I could probably place top 5 in a few, and maybe that's how I get to Olympia. But, there's always going to be someone that shows up like a Hassan or somebody that's just going to blow everyone away. And I'm not really sure. So I should also add that there are way more pro shows in every other division. Every weekend, there are anywhere between 2 and 6 pro shows that don't feature open bodybuilding. Most of them don't feature 212 or open. Most of them will feature men's physique because there's a ton. There's probably a couple thousand men's physique pros at this point in the world. Bikini, figure, you'll see a ton of those. Like I said, if you go on ifbbpro.com and if you look at the 2023 contest schedule, they break it down for you. If you only want to see how many shows are for open bodybuilding, that's the first list. It'll give you the dates, the locations, contact info for the promoter. Then going on down, it'll go to 12, classic physique, women's figure, women's fitness, women's bodybuilding, wellness, all the divisions. And you will see that there are probably 3 times, 4 times more pro shows for these other divisions in a contest in a calendar year than there are open bodybuilding. So if you want to say there's too many shows compared to these other divisions, not really. Open men still has by far the least amount of pro shows to choose from per year, but still 23, and that 23, I should state that did include the Olympia and the Arnold Classic. The Olympia, obviously, you have to qualify for. The Arnold Classic you have to be invited to, so maybe I should say 21. But I know you guys have opinions. Some of you guys might have the answers. So let's go to the phones. Here we go. Raymond Jones, more shows, more opportunities to everyone to make money. Yeah, so why aren't they doing the shows? If I'm a pro bodybuilder and I'm doing one show and I'm in shape, and you will see this, especially the European guys do a lot of shows. I'd say they're the best example of, how to manage a pro career, because they don't just do one show a year like a lot of the American pros do. They'll do multiple shows a year. And geez, we have so many shows in Europe this year. Let us take a look at how many. It's more shows in Europe than the U.S. for sure. Or I should say outside the U.S. So let's see. We started off the season with the Arnold Classic, obviously. That was in early March. Didn't have anything for the rest of the month. Look at this old school real calendar. Arnold Brazil came up in April. We also had, that was the only other pro show. Then they all started cranking in. So New York Pro, California Pro, that was May. June, we had Toronto Pro, the Empro Pro in Spain. That was it. July is a big month. We had the Orlando Pro. We had the Mr. Big Evolution Pro. We had the Vancouver Pro. This weekend, we have Chicago Pro. Then the weekend after that, there's another pro show in Spain. August has Tampa Pro and Texas Pro, and the Masters Olympia at the end of the month. September is a pro show in Italy, the European Pro, a France Pro, Legion Sports, another pro show in Italy. November starts off with the Olympia, and then post-Olympia shows, which qualify for the following year's Olympia. Romania Muscle Fest, EVLS Prague show, Japan Pro. That takes us all the way to the end of November, and nothing in December. So that's a lot of shows. I mean, if I read the list of shows for like women's bikini, we'd be here all day, or women's figure, but bikini and men's physique especially, a lot of pro shows. And I don't know if you guys realize this, most of these pro shows are not held as standalone pro events. They're held with an amateur show, sometimes a pro qualifier, sometimes it's just a big amateur show. Reason for that is I've had promoters tell me it's very difficult to make money from a pro show. In fact, most of them that have those amateur and pro shows together, they make the majority of their profits from the amateur show, not the pro show. Pro show, you have to pay a very high sanction fee, especially for open men. I believe it's a sliding scale, and you pay the most amount of money for open bodybuilding to have that division, and other divisions lesser amounts of money. But yeah. Abdullah Hassan was drinking water in the last prep. That's good. I don't like to see anybody dehydrated. I know it's par for the course for peaking on a contest stage, but I don't like to see it's dehydrating is just obviously very dangerous. Renaud, after New York Pro in Texas, what are the most prestigious pro shows around the world other than the Arnold's and the O? I would say the Prague show. I don't know. I mean, there's so many of those pro shows in Europe. Maybe the Prague show is big, but I mean, maybe Romania Muscle Fest, because that's promoted by Tim Gardner and by Alina Popa. Wings of Strength is heavily involved in that. I think that's a big show. Prestige, you could start really arguing that. It goes Olympia, Arnold, and then after that, New York Pro, and then you can really start arguing, and no one's right, no one's wrong. It's whatever you consider most prestigious. I mean, we stopped having we had categories. We had tier 1, tier 2. The whole time that we had that point system, there were tiers. There was a tier system in place. You got more points for certain shows that were considered tougher or more competitive, more prestigious than others. And I remember last year when I attended the Texas Pro, it did so well in its second year that by the end of the weekend, we got the news, the promoter got the news that it had been elevated to, I think, a tier 2 show. Tier 1, I believe, is I think tier 1 is just the Olympia and the Arnold. That's tier 1. And then tier 2 was, I don't know, was the New York Pro and a couple other shows, and that was it. Yeah. Raymond Jones, again, the top tier guys don't do a lot of shows. It's a bad strategy if they want to place high at the Olympia. Well, maybe not. I mean, if you're one of the top tier guys and you're already qualified for the Olympia and you want to look your very best at the Olympia, you would want to be able to rest, recover, come into the Olympia really fresh. You wouldn't want to be competing all year So Olympia is in early November. You wouldn't want to be competing, March, June, July, August, October, and then November. The body can only hold that peak condition for so long before it starts fighting back and trying to keep itself in homeostasis and balance, and stops responding so well to the diet, the gear, everything. The body will just not respond after a certain amount of time when it's been kept that lean for that long. So if you're trying to, that's why the guys that are qualified for Olympia, I keep referring to my list. Where did I put it? I got to keep this thing by me at all times. But the top 5 guys who already qualified, if you place top 5 in the Olympia, you're automatically qualified for the next year. 99 times out of 100, those guys do not compete again until the Olympia, because they want to take the whole year, have a really good off season, relax after that a little bit, and then start prep for the Olympia so they can be 100% with, their bodies are going to be fresh and not beat up from months and months of prep that wasn't for the Olympia. Let's see. Ron Harris Classic. Renaud, if you were to have the Ron Harris Classic every year, which city would you choose? Obviously Boston. What kind of venue? Concert hall or hotel space? So hypothetically, in this scenario, money's no object. I know because it's hypothetical. It's a fake. This isn't real. I would go with a really nice concert hall. I mean, that's where bodybuilding used to always be. It would be held in really nice, places where they had operas and concerts. That's where the venues usually were. In more recent years, it's become more economical for promoters. A lot of them will have it just in a hotel ballroom, and that's the host hotel where everybody stays. And I kind of, as a media guy, I prefer that. It's just easier on me because I can stay at the host hotel, never have to leave the building, never have to go outside or leave for anything, really. I'm there from sometimes Thursday to Sunday without ever leaving that one hotel. But from a prestige standpoint, showmanship, yeah, I'd love to see bodybuilding always on a really nice theater stage with the theater lighting and all that, and especially like the really nice theater. So if I would do it, I would have it in Boston, and I don't know, the venue that we had the New England at for years, the John Quincy, the Dorothy Quincy Hall in the John Hancock building was pretty nice, but I'm sure there are even better places. Yeah, we had it at the Boston Pro only happened once. I don't know if it's ever going to happen again. If so, it's going to have to be a different promoter. Maybe Jay Cutler will get involved. I hope. But that was in a hotel. That was in a hotel ballroom, and it was fine. It was fine. Let's see. If you were to the Ryan Harris Class, bipolar mom and former adult probation officer were on. The more pro competitors in the shows, the better. Yeah, I mean, 6 guys in Orlando. I really felt bad just seeing that. I was like, really? That's all we can get? I know it's not the New York Pro. It's not one of those bigger name shows, but still, it's the Orlando Pro. Orlando's a nice vacation spot. If you're a competitor, you could go and relax for a couple days after. If you got kids, you could take them to Disney World. You could take them to SeaWorld. You got Universal Studios, MGM Studios, Islands of Adventure. You got all kinds of great stuff in Orlando that you could check out after the show if you want to hang out another couple days. Disney's Animal Kingdom, beautiful, great zoo. So yeah, I didn't get it when I saw only 6 guys in that lineup. It didn't make sense to me. So too many shows, I don't know. And I really think eradicating the point system, it's, I feel like a lot of us were complaining so much after last Olympia that there were too many people in the Olympia. We need to trim it down. They had 59 in men's in classic physique. They had 60 in bikini. This is the Olympia. The Mr. Olympia itself had, I think, 32 guys. It was a record. Since the Mr. Olympia started in 1965, that was the most competitors they ever had on stage at once in the Mr. Olympia. So everyone's like, we got to do something. There's too many competitors. The show went too long. Some people have suggested maybe a cut round, an elimination round like they do in the Olympics. You don't have 500 guys running a race at the same time. They have, finals and prelim semifinals, and they get rid of some of the slower people. And in the end, you have just the very, I don't know how many, 10, 12, 15. I don't watch the Olympics. You have the very fastest. So maybe the Olympia, they should have something where it's cut down By the time you get to the final, by the time you get to the actual judging, it's cut down to 15 people. But you know that can't happen because it's just a lot of people are going to feel like they were slighted or overlooked, and you know they fulfilled their dream of going to Olympia. They don't. A lot of them would be very upset if we did something like an elimination round or a cut round a day where we got rid of a big chunk of the people. You can't make everybody happy. You just can't. You know, some people, no matter what you do, some people are going to be upset by that particular decision. What are you going to do? Raymond Jones, how many competitors should be the minimum for a show? I'd say 10. I mean, that's very conservative. We got 10 because we got for this Chicago Pro, we just had some people jump in. Stanimal just jumped in. John De La Rosa just officially entered, I think, yesterday. They had 8, now they have 10. But I mean, 10's not a big lineup at all. But I mean, for men's open bodybuilding, I think you want to see like 15. 15 is a really good number. That's like what the Arnold Classic caps it out at. And a lot of the Mr. Olympia shows from years past had about 15 guys in them on stage. I think that's a reasonable number. It's not too many. It's not too few. Nobody's really getting lost, overlooked if you only have 15 guys. And it's still a respectable amount where people will be like, huh, that's all they had? I mean, yeah. Let's see. Bipolar mom, former adult probation officer. Great idea. Making bodybuilding mainstream is the way to go. How do we do it? You can't make bodybuilding mainstream. I hate to burst your bubble. Bipolar mom and former adult probation officer. That's a long name you have there. It's never going to happen. And I say that, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer or negative. When I say that, it's just because I've been in the industry for 32 years, working in the industry 32 years. I started off with the American Muscle magazine show on ESPN, did that for most of the 90s. That's the closest we ever came to being mainstream. Bodybuilding was on ESPN. The Mr. Olympia, these were the shows that were on ESPN at the time, coverage. We had 1 hour specials for the Mr. Olympia, Ms. Olympia, Arnold Classic, USA, Nationals. I think even sometimes Junior USA and Junior Nationals got 1 hour specials. And we had this show on every month on ESPN that I was one of the producers for, called American Muscle or American Muscle Magazine. The name flip-flopped around a few times. That was on ESPN, which is, you know, ESPN, that's a major network. Huge ratings. And it was on ESPN for about 12 years. It was a very long running show, maybe more. I know when I was working on it, it was the longest running show on ESPN after Sports Center. So, and this was, you know, I came on board with that show in early 91. So ESPN hadn't been around that long compared to, you know, now. Obviously, we're talking over 30 years later. But most people just can't watch bodybuilding unless they're somehow affiliated with it. They live the lifestyle. They're fans of the sport. You try to get an average person, regular person, to watch a bodybuilding contest, and it bores the hell out of them. Either they find it offensive that, you know, it's just all these people flexing in, you know, bikinis and, you know, mankinis and whatever, but you can't make them appreciate something or like something that they don't like. It's like, I'm not a sports fan, you know, how un-American of me, but I don't watch football, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, none of that. I don't watch it because I don't find it interesting. A lot of people do, though. That's why millions of people tune in. That's why they have major sponsors like Coca-Cola, Gatorade, Nike, Ford Motors, you know, Toyota, on and on and on. Why don't we, someone says, why don't we have more money in the sport? Why don't the big sponsors step up? Because they don't see return on the investment. Sponsors don't give these NFL or anybody money just out of the kindness of their heart. It's all an investment that they're trying to make the money back. And they get that money back because these other sports have millions and millions of fans because they're easier to follow. It's easier to watch a basketball game and know what's going on. You don't have to be a basketball expert. I can watch basketball and I know what's going on. These guys are running that way, trying to get the ball in that hoop. These guys are running that way, trying to get the ball in that hoop. I get it. You put bodybuilding on in a bar or something, a sports bar, they see a bunch of people that look like identical, just a bunch of big juiced up freaks, all oiled up, flexing, and they all look exactly the same to them. They don't appreciate physiques. They don't have an eye for it. So they just don't find it interesting, and they usually yelch. I've been in bars back in the day when someone put bodybuilding, someone flicked it on for a second when it was on TV, and immediately a bunch of people would be like, get that shit off, change that shit. They didn't want to watch it. So you can't make people interested in things that they're not interested in. Samson and Derek, 1 and 2 in the O. Maybe, or it could be Derek and Samson. Hottie could repeat. We don't know. But, man, Samson is coming on strong, and Derek, too. Raymond Jones, if there were more competitors, people would still complain the lineup was weak. Well, people complain about everything. So people are always going to complain. That's human nature. People will always find something to complain about. We're not going to stop that. Small amount that like bodybuilding, Abdullah. Yeah. It's funny because people say, well, bodybuilding has so many fans. Not really. Not really. Think about it. If you're a bodybuilding fan, how many bodybuilding fans do you know in real life? Think about it. Even at your gym. I go to a pretty big commercial gym. Sorry, I'm very thirsty. Called Bayshore Athletic Club. It's got, I don't know, a couple thousand members at least. And a lot of serious trainers there. A lot of people who train very hard. A lot of people on gear. A lot of people in awesome shape. I'd say even out of that group, only a handful of them follow the sport of bodybuilding or have any idea who the top stars in bodybuilding are. They all know Bumstead, but it's not that we don't have that big a fan base. We really don't. I mean, the Olympia fills up 5,000 seats every year, something like that. Maybe let's be very generous and say it's 10,000. It's not, but let's say it is. What's a Super Bowl hold? How many people go to the Super Bowl every year in person and paying thousands of dollars a ticket? Those arenas hold like 100,000, 200,000 people. And then you have millions and millions more around the world watching it on TV. Bodybuilding is not popular like that. We're nowhere near that level of popularity. Let's see. Bipolar mom again. LOL, Ron. Yeah, people watch golf. Talk about boring. Yeah, I don't, believe me. I've never seen golf on TV and kept it on. I've always changed the channel immediately. Like, ugh. I don't get it. But obviously, there you go. Golf, great example. Huge prize money compared to bodybuilding. Huge. Millions and millions of dollars in prize money. I think even like the 30th best golfer in the world makes a lot more money than Mr. Olympia. And they have those mainstream sponsors, the car companies, the beverage companies. I mean, I think it's crazy, but when you think about the sponsors for golf versus bodybuilding, most of our sponsors are supplement companies. Sometimes you'll see like personal prep companies sponsoring, meal prep companies, equipment companies, but we don't have a wide range of sponsors. We certainly don't have the huge billion-dollar corporations sponsoring bodybuilding. Let's see. Victor, yes, you need some type of relationship to the gym to appreciate bodybuilding. What factors do you believe, Ron? Yeah, you have to have an appreciation for the physiques and you have to know what you're looking at. Because if you don't, everyone looks the same and you're just like, I don't get it. What are they judging? And they don't care. It's like, okay, they all look great. So what? Who cares? They don't care. I know Victor says, I know one friend that's a fan except myself. I mean, I don't even know that many. And this is all I do. Dan, there are a ton of CBum fans and 99% of them are not fans of bodybuilding. Yeah, his IG is up to 18 million followers. 18 million. Good Lord. It's almost Kardashian numbers. Yeah, CBum. He's killing it. And like I said, yeah, most of them are Chris Bumstead fans. They don't care about the competitions or how he does in the Olympia or who was competing against the Olympia. They don't care about any of that. They just follow him. They love his look, his personality. They just like to see his content every day. Our stuff, maybe bring the point system back and cut all but 16 guys on Thursday, but still wouldn't seem fair. I don't think they can. They just got rid of it. This is the first year without it. I don't think they can say, all right, bad idea. We're going to bring back the point system. Maybe they'll bring it back eventually, especially if the numbers continue to be down at these pro shows. Maybe, and if they talk to a bunch of competitors, maybe they'll find out, yeah, we would have done more shows. I would have competed, but I knew I wasn't going to win. And so if I couldn't just get to the Olympia on points, because like I said, that is the end game for most of these guys. They want to get to the Olympia. That's their dream. And most of them, a lot of them realize they're not good enough to win a pro show. They'd have to get very, very lucky because all it takes is one, not even A-list guy, one of the good B-list guys shows up and would crush them. The people that are realistic and know what they look like compared to other people. Said so. I like sports, played hockey, football, soccer, etc. growing up, but I absolutely hate watching it. If I'm not actually playing them myself, it's boring as hell. Yeah. Victor, what's your prediction for Texas Pro, Ron? Who's winning, Andrew or Hunter? One of them. Yeah, I mean, all will be revealed when they step out. You don't know. You just don't know. You're looking at progress pics now, and they're a month out. Some of these guys, like Andrew, doesn't look that lean now, but I know when the time comes, he'll be in shape. He's one of those guys that, to me, doesn't really look like he's in shape until almost the very end. I don't know if he holds a lot of water or what, but it's going to be a battle for sure. Dane, I don't think CBum has ever said, come out to so-and-so show and watch competitors. Self-promotion is the only goal for the popular guys. Well, why not? You know, no one else is looking out for these guys except for themselves. Promoting the contest doesn't do anything for them. You know, CBum and these guys, they realize you have to brand yourself now. You have to start your own business. You have to set yourself up for the future, or else you end up like horrible, very extreme example, but like Robbie Robinson, he's got a GoFundMe up. He's like 79 years old. He's got a GoFundMe just for living expenses. He's got no money. And he was one of the greatest bodybuilders of, you know, the golden era, the 1970s into the early 80s. So these guys realize nobody's looking out for them. The promoters, they're not going to be helping these guys when they retire. The federation doesn't have any kind of retirement plan or anything. They have to set themselves up. And the way to do that is to build your brand, get a ton of followers, people who are going to buy whatever it is you want to sell them, or even just content, get subscriptions and sponsors, advertisers for your content on YouTube or whatever. That's the way to go. So I don't blame CBum or any of those guys one minute for that. Abdul, I remember the first time I saw him qualify for the O was on points. Yeah. He was getting a lot of second and third places. I think that's the year he did, I want to say it was like 8 shows. He did a lot of shows one year, and he got to Olympia on points. Dane, speaking of competing, I think Martin Fitzwater could have won pretty much every show so far this year except for the Arnold and maybe Toronto. He would have done pretty well. I don't know if he would have won. Yeah, I mean, don't write out, you know, don't discount these guys who have been winning the shows. It's not like they're bums. Victor, Steve Kukla retired. He has not officially retired. He's not even 40 yet. I believe he took the year off to try to have a start a family, get his wife pregnant, but I don't believe he's competing this year. But he has not announced his retirement. I mean, some of these guys, I assume they're retired because they're gone for so long. Like, we have an MD Power Hour that's going up tomorrow or the next day with Giles and I. We talked about De La Rosa because I honestly didn't know if he was ever competing again. He hadn't competed since 2020. Him and his business partner, Sean, they opened up a gym in Sawgrass Mills, Florida. And, you know, he's gone over 3 years. I thought that was the end of him. And here he is. He's back on the scene. Bill Tlaff, obviously Andrew is winning Texas, dude. Well, it's not obvious. Hunter might win. Andrew or somebody else. Andrew is underrated as hell. I wouldn't say he's underrated. I mean, he has a ton of fans, a ton of people who really believe in him and think he's a future Mr. Olympia. So I wouldn't say he's underrated. If Hunter can't control his midsection and relax on stage, it's game over. Love Hunter. I just can't see how he can beat him. Anybody can beat almost anybody as far as the top guys we're talking about on any given day if somebody really nails it. Like, who thought Phil Clahar was going to come back at the finals in Orlando, fuller, crisper, and beat Hassan, who had straight first places after judging? These things happen, man. It ain't over till it's over. Raymond, let's see. Steve Kukla caught the love bugs. Is built to laugh. Well, I'll give him credit. I think it's his 3rd marriage. He believes in marriage, and you know, in a time when a lot of people don't want to get married or refuse to get married, he's still a big believer in marriage. So God bless him. Raymond Jones, if I were a pro bodybuilder, I'd want there to be a show every weekend. Well, there is almost a show every weekend this summer. There's only a couple weekends where there's no shows for open men. And if you're like bikini or men's physique, I believe there is a show every weekend, like almost all year, somewhere. Let's see, Dane. Steve is planning on making a move to politics. Oh, really? Wow. Pumped up. Hi, Ron. Love your show, man. Who do you think will get in the top 3 in Masters, Classic Physique, Tampa? Well, I don't have the lineup in front of me. No one does. Is there somebody you particularly want to hype up? Go ahead and hype them. It's cool. I don't care. I don't know. Who's doing Masters, Classic Physique, Tampa? When you're referencing something like that, if we don't have the list out, I mean, how could I don't know who's doing that. And honestly, Masters, I'm 53 and I don't really care a whole lot about Masters. I don't find it that compelling. Like, oh boy, who's in the master show? Because if they're still good, they're doing open and masters anyway. Like you see it, the Tim Gardner shows almost always have masters a whole day. Like tomorrow in Chicago, at the Chicago Pro, it's all masters, all day and all night, every division. But the better ones, the ones who are really good, they're going to be doing the open classes Friday and Saturday as well. You know, open divisions for, you know, bodybuilding, 212, classic, wellness, figure, all those divisions. Let's see, built to laugh a clown. Oh boy. Victor, do you believe Fouad was hard on Justin when he decided to leave Hostile? I didn't follow that whole thing. I don't care that who's with what supplement company. That's, you know, I know it's industry gossip and people love to make videos and Fouad hates him and this and that and oh, he did him wrong and this and that. And I don't know, man, who cares? It's people go from supplement company owners will do what's in the best interest for their supplement company. Athletes will do what's in their best interest. It's typically not this whole like real loyalty that everyone assumes like, oh no, they signed me, I must be loyal to them, and I got to be loyal to the athlete because I signed them. It's business. So people come and go in these companies. It's not, I don't find it that interesting. Obviously, if I was an athlete trying to get great sponsorships, it would be more important to me. How's Blessing looking? I've only seen a couple updates on his Instagram. Looks pretty good, but we'll see. We'll see Saturday. Top 3 in Chicago, Victor. I'm going to go in no particular, well, Stanimal just jumped in, but I'm still going to go De La Rosa, Justin Shire, and Blessing for top 3. Stanimal could easily be in there too, though. And that's no particular order. We got to see how they look. What do you think of Breon's chances in 212? I really would love to see what Breon looks like at, you know, whatever he's going to come in at, 195, 200, let's say 200. He was 180 as a classic physique champ. He won the Olympia twice. So another, let's say 15 pounds on him should make a huge, huge difference, especially if he continues to bring that same condition that he had in classic, but with much more size and fullness. I'm very, very much looking forward to Breon as a 212. Maybe he'll do the Olympia because he's already qualified. Any Olympia champ is qualified for the Olympia for life. I don't know if you guys realize that. Dane Blessing is coaching himself. Let's see how that works out. Wish him the best. It'd be interesting to see if he looks his best ever and he coached himself. That might, you know, get people thinking about coaching. Do we really need coaches? You know, a coach is valuable, especially toward the end, because most bodybuilders toward the end of a prep, especially the last couple weeks, they tend to go just insane. They can't objectively assess their physiques in the mirror. They see things that aren't there. They don't see things that are there. It becomes very hard. And they start doing stupid things like eating too much, not eating enough, stopping cardio because they feel they're getting too flat, doing way too much cardio because they're really chasing condition and they're flattening out and they don't see it. So a coach really does come in handy, especially, you know, because they're exhausted at that point, been on low carbs, low calories, all this cardio. They're exhausted. Their brain's they're having a hard time thinking straight. So if they have someone that just tells them, tell me what to do, eat this, don't eat that, train today, don't train today, do this much cardio, don't do any cardio today. Someone who has a good eye for physiques and can make those type of adjustments successfully for a competitor, a coach like that, very, very valuable. But it's obviously we've had many champions who coached themselves. You know, you have to go back in time, way back in time for most of them. Guys like Dorian Yates, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, Rich Gaspari, they all coached themselves. Some of you don't know who the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, coaching it's become a huge, huge business now. Let's see. Brent Caray, Carlos Thomas doing what show? And then Dane says, I bet Carlos does Texas. Yeah, I mean, he was almost ready. He was supposed to do New York Pro. Body wasn't quite cooperating. I think he took a little time off the prep to let his body reset, and he's back on it. So Texas, I bet he does Texas. I wouldn't be surprised. Victor, does Breon get a special invite to Olympia in 212? No, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure he doesn't need one as a classic physique Olympia 2-time champ. I think you can do any class except for open women's bodybuilding or open men's bodybuilding at the Olympia if you're an Olympia champ. If anybody actually knows the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So Breon, if he wants to jump into the 212 Olympia this year, I believe they'll let him in. I don't think he needs any kind of special invitation. Victor, but isn't it just the division that you win, Ron, that you qualify for life? I don't know, because I've seen women who were, I think, figure champs or bikini champs jump into like the figure Olympia, vice versa. I've seen that happen. So I'm not really sure. We'll see. Yeah. Or if anyone actually knows the answer. Dane, pretty much pre-Ronnie, everybody coached themselves who won the O. Yeah. Ronnie was, to my knowledge, the first Mr. Olympia winner who had a coach. You know, we had, let's see, Larry Scott, Sergio Oliva, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Colombo, Chris Dickerson, Samir Bannout, Lee Haney didn't have a coach. And after Lee was Dorian. Dorian didn't have a coach. So yeah, the first Mr. Olympia who had a coach was Ronnie, who started winning in 98. So from 1965 to 1998, all those Olympia champions coached themselves. True story. And everyone in the Olympia, I believe. S. McGee, I wish they only had 24 pro shows in a year and make all non-Olympia athletes have to get their pro card every year. Well, they're not going to, I wouldn't make people have to requalify for their pro status. That's going a bit too far. Yeah. So you're a pro and then you got to go do the USA and Nationals again. No, that's outrageous. We're not going to do that. Raymond Jones, they give every retired bodybuilder a pro show. Well, nobody gives any of these guys a pro show. They have to pay a big sanction fee to the IFBB Pro League, and they have to get approved, obviously. So they don't just let anybody. They want to make sure this person's capable of promoting a show, knows what they're doing. They probably have to submit some kind of business plan or something before they just say, okay, yeah, you can have the pro show. But yeah, they don't give them the pro shows. They apply for it, they pay sanction fees, and then they have to do all the footwork. Either them or like a business partner has to get everything, get the venue, the staff, the advertising, everything. They have to arrange everything. The trophies, the tickets, the pay-per-view, the concessions, all that stuff. Everything, the lights, the staging. There's so many details go into contest production. Stefan Todorovic, thoughts on Breon moving up at his age feels risky for his health. Well, you're assuming that he's taking a lot of chances and using high doses of stuff, and I don't think Breon has never struck me as someone who used high doses of gear or even needed high doses. To me, he looks like someone who responds very well. I'm just guessing. I've never talked dosages with Breon, never. Wouldn't even ask him. I don't care. It's none of my business. But I don't think Breon uses that much, and I don't think he would need to use much more to move to open. He was struggling to get down to that weight for classic. He was giving up lean muscle tissue. So the last few years where he was 180 on stage, he could have easily been 190 to 195, I think. But he had to really fight and diet like crazy. I remember one year he was in Kuwait prepping for the Olympia, and he was all eating like fish and lettuce or something to last. All his meals were just like 4 ounces of fish and like a vegetable. He was on like 0 carbs for 30 days because he was struggling to get down to that weight. It was not a weight his body wanted to go to. Less healthy to cut weight. Yeah, I mean, people go to extremes. They go to extremes to make weight, obviously. I mean, not just bodybuilding. I was a high school wrestler. I didn't have to do it, but I saw guys going, days without barely eating. They would dehydrate for a couple days before weighing in. They would run around in trash bags to sweat. Very, very dangerous. Can you do an interview with Nick Walker's parents? I mean, I guess I could, but I don't know how many people would watch it, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I have to do interviews with people that you're going to watch, and I need more than one person to watch. I need at least a couple thousand people to watch it. So I don't know how many people would do it. I don't know if they would do it. I honestly don't know if they would. I like, it's Lou and, what's her name, Sandy? Lou Walker. Oh, what's his mom's name? I know her name. I just can't think of it. Great people. I love his parents. They're very, very supportive of their son. They're at every show. They wear his shirts. Why can't I remember her name? Anyway, it's Lou. I don't know. I know Lou. I know her too. I just can't think of her name. Let's see. Travis W. There's not too many shows. The prize money's too low. Yeah, I mean, people have made the point that the prize money hasn't improved in 30 years. People were winning $10,000 for pro shows 30 years ago, and they're still only winning $10,000. But like I said, there's not that much money in promoting a pro show. They're not making much money off of it. And if you don't have the money coming in, where's this money coming from? You're supposed to, these contests are a profit, are a business, and you're supposed to make profit in a business. They're not charity. It's not all about, they don't put the promoters in like, oh boy, I want to just give as much money as possible. I want to give all these pros as much money as I can. No, come on, guys. They want to make a profit. They try to be fair to the athletes, but yeah, the prize money has not increased in many, many years, and I don't think it will, to be honest with you. Because where's the money going to come from? Yeah. Breon and Kamal are similar builds, in my opinion. I like Breon's structure a little better, but Kamal's damn good. Dane says Breon is fine. He's got great genetics. He's drawing at 40. I think he's 41 now. SMG, 10K for a pro show is good for the size of the event. Yeah, like I said, for a professional sports event, it's not much of a payout. Jesse Mosier, damn. Join Olympia, glad to catch you live. Thank you. Tracy Walker, thank you. I know it. At this age, man, so many times I can almost think of something, and as soon as I stop the video, I'd be like, Tracy. Her name was Tracy. Yeah. I also have to say that I did a preview with Giles this morning for the Chicago Pro, and Stanimal was not on the list, so he's not in the preview. So I apologize, Stanimal, but I didn't know he was in the show. But good for him jumping in another show, trying to get a win. Also, Yuman Eaton, I was going to talk about in the 212. Yuman's very good. We were moving so fast, going through so many things, I skipped over him by mistake. But Yuman Eaton in the 212 is a very good challenger for looks like Jordan Janowitz is probably the favorite, but Yuman's up there too. I think those two are going to battle. Tracy Walker, yeah. Anyway, guys, I think we've talked enough about this. Oh, wait, Travis W., the competitors could help too. I rarely see them advertising the live streams for any shows that compete in other than the Arnold Olympia. You know what really kills the live streams as far as making money off of them? I'm going to sound like a hater here, so bear with me. It's the fact that there are many YouTube channels that as soon as the show's over, they have the highlights. They've screen recorded the live stream. They've already edited first call out, the winning, posing routine, different things like that. So I think a lot of people now, they don't buy the pay-per-view because they know as soon as the show's over, they can see the footage for free immediately. They didn't get to watch it while it was happening, but it's going to be very, very, very soon after. So I think that hurts the pay-per-view sales too. So I don't know how much the competitors urging people to buy the pay-per-view would help. Alex Brookner, yo, Ron, thanks for live stuff. Giving me a chance to talk. You're welcome, Alex. Jerry Iannuzzi, Zane won 3 in a row, coaching himself. Yeah. Like I said, every other Olympia champion before Ronnie coached himself. What a hater. Yeah, I'm a hater. M12, the question remains, it's true there are too many pros, but no one is competing. The Vancouver Pro 6 compared to Chicago 8. Why? Well, Chicago got 2 more. They got 10 now, so that's a little better. At least it's double digits now. SMT, I wish the live stream was free. Occasionally they are. Occasionally, very rarely. But some of them are they're so expensive. Some of them are, different prices for different days. And you could end up spending between $100 and $150 just to watch the live stream of a show on your computer screen. Now, you could stream it to your TV, I guess, too. But it's expensive. So I think if they really wanted to get the numbers up for their live stream and the pay-per-view buys, they would keep the price down, the price point down to like $20, $25. Last weekend in Vancouver, the finals were $70. That was Canadian. So it's US dollar, it'd be 25% less, but that's a lot of money just to watch the finals, I think. Let's see. Not much interest from casual bodybuilding family shows unless the O or the Arnold, says Stefan Todorovic. Yeah. Jesse Mosier, there's a few shows, but it's people just not competing. We'd love to see people compete more against different competitors. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be interested to hear from some of these competitors who don't compete, but they might be afraid to speak out. But I think the point system being eliminated, that took a lot of interest from competing away for a lot of these people. And I don't know. I'm curious. I wonder why more people don't compete. Dane, the answer is the day and age we live in. You can be an IG bodybuilder and clean house. They get as much or more clout from likes than they do from winning shows. Unless the pay changes. I mean, there are a ton of influencers on Instagram and YouTube who are far more popular and make far more money from all this stuff than most IFBB pros. That's just a fact. So, maybe a lot of the pros think, man, I'm going to compete. I'm going to diet all these months. I'm going to pay a coach and pay for all, I shouldn't say PEDs because the influencers are all on PEDs too, but maybe they don't see the value in it anymore, especially when they see these influencers who never compete and they're doing very well, driving Lambos. It won't change. Alex Brookner, the last show was ridiculous. It wasn't even top tier, price-wise. Yeah, it was a very expensive pay-per-view. M12, why don't make the other top 5 of the Olympia except the champ compete to earn their Olympia qualification? It'll make the shows more interesting. I think top 5 is fine. In years past, it was like top 10 years ago. So I think top 5 qualifying for next year, that's reasonable. That's fine. I mean, they're the 5 best in the world. I think giving them that, pass or honor of getting to skip every show and just going directly to Olympia again the next year, I think that's fair for 5 guys. The IFBB needs to do better. Jesse Mosier, it's hard because it costs money to compete and they don't get a lot in return, but they can't pay more if they don't make money from live streams that people don't want to watch because the show don't have names. Yeah, see how that all went around a circle? It's like chicken or which came first, the chicken or the egg? Stefan Todorova, great point. Look at Reagan. Reagan, dude, cleaning up. Yeah, I mean, if you have, like Bumstead does not need to compete ever again. He will. He's going to keep competing, but he doesn't need to. Chris Bumstead could do very, very well, never stepping on stage again. Built up a huge following, built up a brand for himself. He's part owner in was it Revive or Raw Nutrition Revive? He's got his own signature line of supplements, got his own clothing. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it these days. Don't rely on just competing and stuff because that's a short window of time in your career when you're competing, realistically. Dane, so how do we as fans help make a change? Do you have any ideas, Ron? VIP people get to meet with Dan Solomon every year before the O. Every year the fans who spend the most money always bring up that. Same things, but nothing changes. Yeah, I mean, some of these changes are going to be hard. So if we say there should be less pro shows, so we're going to say, is the IFBB going to tell promoters, some guy comes in and says, I want to put a pro show on in, I don't know, let's come up with, I'm trying to think of some place where there are no pro shows. Let's say, I don't know, Pretoria, South Africa. And he's like, I got a great venue. Here's my track record. I've done other events. I want to put on a pro show. You'll get the sanction fee from me, which is, I don't know, thousands of dollars. Are they going to say no? And you're going to tell this promoter, no, you can't promote. We don't want that many pro shows. You can't. So I don't have any answers. The whole point of doing this wasn't really getting any answers. It was really just to have a discussion. Same things, nothing changes. Alex Brookner, Dexter was the only pro who was top 5 who do shows other than the Arnold Olympia. Yeah, because I think Dexter could stay in very lean condition and it didn't seem to take much of a toll on him. He could stay like that for months and months at a time. Whereas other guys, especially the big guys, it really wears on them. Competing multiple times, they have a hard time peaking over and over again. It's just tougher on the bigger guys, I think. 10K for winning pro shows is nothing. Powerlifter Rich, the look of bodybuilders just isn't good anymore. Dexter looked good and a few of the top guys still do. Big Ramy just looks silly these days. Well, I mean, that's why it's never going to be mainstream. Most people, they don't want to see someone as jacked as a Ramy or a Nick Walker or even a Sams. They don't want to see anybody that big. To them, it's ridiculous. It looks silly. To regular people, I'm talking. They see that and all they think is steroids. This guy's just a big steroid freak. Look at him. He looks like a cartoon character. Whereas we're like, wow, we're appreciating it. We're in admiration of it. We're fans. Regular people are just like, oh, that's horrible. SMT, the promoter will have to have more stipulations and they can make a bidding system at the beginning of each year. If they're a business, they can build the rules. I think you meant to say bend the rules however they want. Yeah. I apologize for not having any solutions. I just thought we could have a conversation, guys, which we've been doing, so appreciate it. Derek is freaky big too. Derek Lunsford, yeah, I mean, he's the shorter guys. And if Derek Lunsford was 6 feet tall, he'd be well over 300 pounds in the off season. He'd probably be like 280 on stage, I think. I mean, he's already like 230, 235, 240 at 5'5", 5'6". Can you imagine if he was another half foot taller? Jeez, he'd be big. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Enjoyed talking with you as always. Want to urge you, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I'm sure most of you guys participating, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the videos, turn on your notifications both on YouTube and on your phone. We got a couple more. Jesse Mosier. Also this year, quite a few people took the year off, like Antoine, Patrick Johnson. James Holling said, some people want to get better. Less shows not the answer. It's not watered down. Creamer is the top. Good luck. Frustrating for those who care. Jesse Mosier later on. Yep, thank you later. All right. Muscle doesn't look real anymore. Oh, boy. Anyway, that's all, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Always love interacting and hearing what you have to say. This is your forum. That's why I do the Ask Ron Live. So have a great rest of the day or night, wherever it is in your part of the world. And we'll see you later.